Ladies and gentlemen, it does appear that the long-awaited report, Gacha Revenue PvP for the month of January, the first one of 2025, is here. It's back at it again. And we all thought that this website was deceased. We all thought that this website was out of commission. And it turns out that there is another individual sponsored by none other than Gateo themselves that's going ahead and cultivating all of these estimations, keyword estimations or guesses, from Sensor Tower and obviously compiling another report. And so I decided to go ahead and take a look at it just to talk about how actually stupid looking at this data is. And you're going to be wondering why I would be focusing on that angle when it turns out that a game, right, that obviously I support a lot, Wuthering Waves, is doing pretty well, right? Jumping up 17 spots to rank 8 out of the month and for a total of 28 million, right? Definitely a big increase over its 7.75 in the past. But this is why I wanted to talk about this. This is why this number is still incomplete and doesn't really make that much sense and isn't really worth talking a lot about. So this is a message from about a month ago, right when 2.0 launched. And Solon, the CEO of Wuthering Waves, talked about how on the operational side, we're thrilled to announce that Wuthering Waves achieved its highest single day revenue since launch, a milestone for the team. Beyond the revenue and the acclaim, players' growing confidence in the game's long-term development is equally encouraging, right? This is the problem with looking at this data in a vacuum. This is the Sensor Tower report from way back in June of 2025. I do believe... Oh, wait, no, sorry, this is May. Actually, May is relevant. So, in May, Wuthering Waves made a total of, according to this report, 13.8 million in China, or CN, and then in global, around 11 million. That gives us a nice total of around, say, 24, 25 million. And this is the thing, right? When we're thinking about this number that we're seeing over here, this 28 million, that is such a small part of the pie. This is only looking at mobile revenue on this website. It's not incorporating things like PC sales, where a ton of people play the game on PC. And it's also not incorporating something really important as well. The fact that the PS5 version of the game also released for version 2.0. And believe me when I say that the PlayStation community does really like the game. They like it a lot, actually, especially in JP, where they have rankings for it. You know, Sony was founded in Japan. This game was ranked 2 in that region on the PlayStation Store. And so we're not incorporating so many different things into this number. And for games like Zenless Zone Zero, I'll go ahead and go up to bat for them as well that are seeing a lower number or a decrease. That number isn't being incorporated either. And this is the thing, guys. This total that we're seeing over here, it is entirely based off of Sensor Tower. And that total means that it is entirely based off of mobile numbers and mobile estimations. And what this means is that, ladies and gentlemen, there really isn't a point in looking at any of this data in a vacuum. There really isn't any point in talking about EOSing or talking about which game is supposed to be a lot better than others based off the metrics of revenue. Mobile is literally just one part of the pie, and nobody knows how big or small it is relative to what's being spent on PC and what is being spent on the PlayStation Store, right? What's being spent on the PS5. Because all these games that we're seeing over here, right? The ones that people really talk about a lot, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero, all of these games are available on the PS5 and they are available on the PC. And so unless somebody is going to, you know, open up the book and give every single person in the public a peek, which isn't going to happen because these are private companies, unless you're going to open up the book and give everybody a peek at what their total revenue is, we have no actual idea what these numbers are even relevant for in the first place. This could be 10% of the revenue total. This could be 90% of the revenue total. But the thing is, you don't know. We don't know. And so judging a game's success by just one number over here, when there are 2 other streams of revenue that we don't know, or we don't know the amounts for either, there really just isn't a point in having this discussion. There really just isn't a point in continuing this whole, this whole PvP, this whole drama, right, about which game is doing better than the other. But as it turns out, right, this is r/Gacha Gaming. This is one of, if not the worst communities in Reddit and just gaming as a whole. Because guess what happens, right? People know that this is only mobile revenue. People know that it's all guesstimations where they apply a 1.75x multiplier on estimated data to just guess how much regions are making. And people are just having a great, good old discussion about it. And so what I wanted to do, right, was just take a look at some of the comments and see what these people are talking about. It's that time of the month where we get to cosplay as expert gacha analysts. Have at it, fellas, keep it civil. Well, I'm really glad that the first comment we see is a bunch of people just having a joke about it, because I think that these people on this subreddit, they can't really take this chart seriously either. It's more so just a monthly tradition for them at this point to have an opportunity to clown at something, but I think this post being at the top is recognition that they're actually the biggest clowns of them all for even participating in this at the first place. So I'm glad to see this one at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an upvote myself. Okay, here we go. Fairy begin agenda posting. Again, more people just making fun of themselves. CN, by the way, was much higher than what Sensor Tower shows here. I got it from Billy. Okay, so now we're just having another verification that these numbers are bullshit and don't really make sense. What else? PvP alarm? Exactly. Perfect. Yep. Sounds about right. The top posts on this subreddit are people just realizing that there are problems with it or making fun of themselves for even looking at it, in the first place. Now what I wanted to do was look at controversial. And my oh my, the icon for controversial being a sword never has been so apt. And we'll get to hear exactly what the most controversial posts are, right? The ones that are getting downvoted the most, but also getting upvoted at the same time. And you can imagine, given that this is r/Hoyo Gaming, you can imagine what game we're likely going to find in this section. I already have a guess. You guys should as well. Woo-wah doing good. Love to see it. Well, would you look at that. The first post right off the rip, our guesses have been confirmed. Someone just talking about how they like that their game has big numbers, and it is the first post when sorted by controversial. What is controversial about this? What is wrong with this subreddit? What is wrong with this subreddit? Love and D-Space dethroned? Okay. Woo-wah getting almost 30 million for mobile alone, while many people play and pay on PC is a great result. They exceeded their first month's revenue. Downvoted to -9. Guys, what is the point in even discussing this chart? You can only talk about a couple of games on here, otherwise you're gonna get mass downvoted into hell. These aren't real people at this point. I'm pretty sure they're like a scripted AI, or they're just like, they're fueled by like the mint that they're picking in Genshin Impact, or the number of 0 cycle clears they get in HSR. If they don't do like a certain number every day or collect a certain number every day, I think they actually might die. Because at this point, you have to imagine why a post like this is even being downvoted in the first place. Why is this even happening? The game had one of the best version updates in all of Gacha gaming, and people are going ahead and getting downvoted to -9 just from talking about how they're happy how the game is doing. Woo-wah doing well. Woo-wah EOS. The Genshin killer strikes again. And again, what you're going to see over here is that every single post in controversial, it's simply going to be talking about Wuthering Waves. Every single post is going to be talking about Wuthering Waves, aside from a couple few. Ones that got deleted. So much money for mobile alone. Woo-wah will keep getting better and better. Woo-1. -5. Yo, glad to see PGR and Woo-wah doing well. Surprisingly, it's at 22. Lol, why do I get downvotes? People are just talking about how much they like the game that they're playing and they're getting downvoted. Mine got downvoted too. Don't take those two names in this up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty clear just from what we're seeing so far. This chart is useless. We've already talked about why it's useless. It's a small part of the whole pie. And yet people can't really stop talking about it for some reason because it's an opportunity, right, to quote-unquote shit on a game because the numbers aren't high over here. Just because Wuthering Waves happens to be doing well for this month, according to all the metrics that we're doing here, I don't think we're going to take this as an opportunity to shit on other games. You saw what the most controversial posts were. And nobody was even shitting on the other games. The most aggressive thing that we saw in there that was downvoted was somebody saying Woo-1. That was the most aggressive post that we saw from the Wuthering Waves community. Somebody saying Woo-1, and it's getting downvoted into hell. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, just recognize where you're discussing this, who started the discussion in the first place, and the agenda that all of these people have. They kind of just want an opportunity to shit on games, and we need to stop taking this bullshit seriously because we brought all the evidence, right? It's a small part of the pie. So many people, especially for a game like Wuthering Waves, play it on the PC. And until we see Solon personally open up the Excel spreadsheet showing all of the revenue and we get to see how big everything is, these numbers don't mean anything. These numbers literally don't mean anything. because we don't know what the whole looks like. And believe me when I say that Wuthering Waves is a much better game to play for a majority of players on the PC or on the PS5. That's quite literally how it is. It's a much better, smoother game to play for about 90 to 95% of people, probably more on other platforms. And so you can imagine that there's a significant amount of spending happening over there. And that's why, with the game launching on the PS5 for 2.0, I think that's why it achieved its highest single-day revenue since launch. And that's why it's a milestone for the team. And we have proof over here of how that is happening. So with that, stop taking this bullshit seriously. Stop having PvP. Stop having war. There's no point. And I would say that any content creator, any individual, right, that's trying to start a war and not really have just like a, just like a fun commentary around it. Anyone that's actually trying to start war off of this, don't take them very seriously either. And if they're doing it for fun, let them have their fun. But all this does, trying to have an actual serious discussion about these numbers is, at its core, a complete fucking joke. So just have fun with it if you are participating in it. I personally see no reason to, because this is the people that you're having fun with, the mentally ill, right? The mentally ill in this comment section and on this Reddit community that are just going to spam downvote you for simply mentioning these names. And it's a bit of a joke. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace out.